Hey class, welcome to week 2's tutorial on comparison of theorists. Of course, this is an assignment that's due by Sunday. This week's a writing assignment that requires students to write, as it shows here, in APA. Okay, so APA style, and the templates located in the Student Success Center, but I went ahead and already uploaded the attachment of the APA file to the APA template to the post that you just clicked the video on, and I'll go over that in a second on what you should do. There is at least a 10% deduction on not using the template, and it could be even further deduction if the flow of the essay doesn't make sense. Okay, so make sure that you are using the directions and this tutorial to help you write the essay. Okay, it is at least 1,000 words, so 1,000 to 1,500 words. Now, you have to at least use 2 to 3 scholarly sources, which means find from the GCU library. All right, cannot use websites. Now, there will be some information you might have to use from a website due to you finding a fictional character from TV, movie, or some kind of literature to analyze them using a psychoanalytic theory. Okay, so the structure of the essay is pretty simple. All right, here is an outline of it. Okay, the structure. So after you have an introduction and a thesis, you'll go into the first paragraph, actually the first section, which is demographics. So you might be writing multiple paragraphs in each of these 5 sections. It's okay. They shouldn't be one long paragraph where it's like one long paragraph where it combines 2 different things within the same section. I'll kind of give you an example in a second. But make sure you are writing in multiple paragraphs in each section. Now, these 5 sections here of the outline correspond with these 5. So demographics, when you're ready to write your demographics section, you'll come here and you'll see under number 1, demographic of characteristic. So it's going to ask you for gender, race, all that kind of stuff, location. You want to write thorough paragraphs. Don't just list things. Don't just say, here it is, comma, age 32, comma, male, comma, all this. You want to write a thorough paragraph discussing a demographic, so be creative with that. Okay, we're at a Psych 255 class. By now, students are, I'm not just trusting, but I'm sure your writing skills will allow you to write a full paragraph or 2 on the demographic of the person. Then when you go into the second part of history, you'll come here to the second part of history, and you'll see that there's 2 subheadings. So, sometimes I tell students, what you can do is you can write 2 solid subheading paragraphs on notable childhood experiences, positive, negative. That could be probably 2 paragraphs, and then the third paragraph, any notable experiences from adolescence or adulthood. That might be 2 separate paragraphs too. It might be 1 paragraph going into a discussion. So you're going to make sure you also cite, like according to whatever the source's name is. It shouldn't be a link when you're referring to a website. It should be according to whatever the name of the source is, and then you go into a discussion on what those things are. And then notice how number 3 here corresponds with number 3 right here. Okay, you notice how there's words like identify a number of, explain why. So there's 2 different sections in here. You might have a really solid paragraph explaining and identifying a number of maladaptive thoughts. There might be a couple of paragraphs in response to that. Okay, so notice how I'm kind of gearing your mind towards don't just write everything in a 1 paragraph. And then you're going to have to explain why these thoughts or whatever is going on is happening to that individual or a society. Now, provide specific examples. Okay, so don't just say that this person was having this kind of thought or this kind of feeling or behavior. When you're discussing it, say for example, and give an example of that behavior from the character that you're talking about. Always provide examples. Same thing with personal history. Don't just say that there's positive, negative, like don't just discuss whatever the positive and negative things are. There's got to be some examples. For example, this person went through this positive or negative experience, and be very specific. Okay. And again, number 4 here corresponds with number 4, and number 5 right here. Okay. So it's very, very easy. Okay. So here is a template that you'll have, and this is what you'll type on. Again, it should be attached to this post. Okay, you'll just fill in things. You'll want a paragraph, an introduction paragraph. Now, I will say a good introduction is about a good 120 plus words, and then the last sentence should be your thesis statement on what the following paragraphs will be. And notice how there's headings and subheadings. Now, one of the things I want you to notice, though, I know there's not a lot of writing in some of these, but that's just an example. You should obviously have more than just a sentence or two per section, so disregard what you see here. But if you use a heading, so the first heading you could have would be demographics. Okay, so you could change that to demographics. And then you'll have a section on demographic. Okay, you don't have to have one for each gender, race, age, and all that kind of stuff, but you want to go into a thorough paragraph, writing a lot of content to explain the person's demographic. I would also include stuff like, you know, what they did as a profession, location, what the location was looking like there, like, you know, what kind of environment was it. So you want to get into the details of that. Be as detailed as you can, okay? And then notice how you have subheadings over here. So that would be for something like this. Like if you're going to go into the history, you know, let's say, for example, and I'm just using this as an example. Hopefully this doesn't confuse students, but let's say I'm using this as personal history. You know, I could use this right here as childhood experiences, and then this subheading as adolescence, adulthood. So I would just use the main heading, discuss the personal history, maybe have some subheadings. But of course, that's just an example of how you want to do that. But you would definitely have to have demographics. And if you don't use subheadings, make sure when you come down and you're ready to start a new section, you can go personal history and then make it boom, like that. Okay, so you'll have demographics, personal history, and then if I was going to do another one, you know, maladaptive thoughts, you can just be creative. Don't, you know, you don't have to have, don't make it very long. But let's say you can just say maladaptive behavior, because that kind of embodies, that kind of embodies everything, okay, that you have. Now, if you do this and you press enter, you'll see how it's centered and still bold. You can just highlight, unbold, and move it back over, okay, because it's not supposed to be centered. So that's just a good example of how you can correct that when you see it. All right, so again, you have 5 sections. Make sure you're thorough. Make sure you're using, like it says here, 3 to 4. I'm sorry, where is that? At least 2 to 3 scholarly sources, at least. Okay, so if I'm a student and I'm looking at this, I'm saying if I see at least 2 to 3 sources, then I'm going to do 3 to 4 just to make sure, because you probably will have a lot to cover. You can use the book as one, but then you got to find at least 2 to 3 more outside of the course book. Use the GCU library, okay? If you have any questions about this assignment, please let me know. I'd be more than happy to help out in any which way I can. And I hope everyone has a good week. Thanks.